3, 4, and 5 underneath the consent, and then number 2 underneath business.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the agenda.
I got a motion from Bruce.
I'll second.
Second from Cheryl. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. District 741 is proud of Jared Campbell receiving the score on his SAT high enough to make it as a semifinalist in the National Merit Scholarship Award. He was in the top 34,000 out of 1.6 million students from 22,000 schools throughout the United States. So congratulations to Jared on accomplishing that. Anybody here for public comment? Looks like I got 2 sheets here. I got Pat Hess and Ken and Amy Osador. So you're
call
up.
one and bring them down.
So Pat, want to come down?
Or, no, I just came to talk about the closure of the
Yep.
school.
Yep, and that's what this is.
Right here?
Yep, just want you to sit in that chair so that the mic, because we are being taped and it's going to be on the network.
Okay. Okay, I do not have a problem with, if I'm going over to Teal's or Shopko or on the other side of town, driving around. But I don't like it when I'm coming to a school function, the fitness center, the plays, whatever's going on, and then we have to drive all the way around. Why couldn't it have just been no through driving? Why couldn't that have been put up there instead?
Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, instead of closing that off totally, just put up a sign like they have out on 23 there, no through traffic. And then everybody knows that it's not a road anymore. And then that way we would just drive around for the other stuff.
And then I'll just give you, and I want you to get all your things, I'll just kind of give a little bit of response to this. I've already got people driving around a gate that I have there.
I know, I've seen it.
If I put a sign up there, my at least immediate response to you would be, nobody, unless I'm sitting there all day long, nobody will follow that.
I think a few tickets would do. The word would get around. Enforce it. It's no different than we can't park there in the wintertime. Everybody knows. Couple tickets go out, they all know.
Just I'll give more thought to what you're saying. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were suggesting.
Now, I'm not talking about the gate that's over by
the reserve center.
because as far as I'm concerned, that's really dangerous because those kids are coming out of that parking lot and there's traffic coming from every direction. But when you close off the one by the Clodic Edition, now you're bringing everybody out and they're congested up in that 23, is it? And the kids from the parking lot have the right of way. So now the people coming in from the bypass can just sit there and wait for those kids to let them through. And you know what? They're in a hurry and they're not going to do it. So pretty soon people aren't going to be coming down that bypass. They'll figure it out. Go down farther down the road or whatever. We get done with swimming about the time that the kids are getting out, and I think it's a problem over there. I really do. And yes, I have seen people drive around them, but I don't know. Immaturity, whatever. But I really think it's unfair to the Clodic Edition that we have to go all the way around when we're coming up here to the school. And another thing too that I noticed on the day of Dancing with the Stars, they've got those signs that road is closed off. They've got them halfway down the road. People were turning in there and then backing up. So why isn't that sign at the entrance to that road? It would make more sense to me.
They should be. I'm not sure why they were halfway down the road.
They still are, I think.
I'll check on that.
Because people were driving in there and then they realized they couldn't get through, so now they're trying to back into all this traffic. you know, so that,
Signs shouldn't be down halfway, so
No.
I'll check on that.
Okay.
If it's going to stay the way it is, and certainly that'll be, we'll want to hear what everybody has to say, but those signs should be at the beginning of the road.
okay.
I've seen them there a couple times, but I've also seen them tipped over and we've had to pick them back up. So I think if it stays the way it is, we have to have at least some kind of discussion about signage so people don't go down that road. Because when softball starts, we're not going to want them to go even down there up to the gate.
Right,
So,
okay, well, good luck with that.
On Janata Drive, I believe it's called. So I work at a salon downtown Paynesville, so I hear stuff from all my clients, many people from Paynesville. The big thing is the Claudic Addition, and everybody on 181 who always came through the Claudic Addition to get to the school now have to go around. So you're putting all these extra people onto Highway 55 and then 23. I don't know if that's the right answer. The one that goes up towards the Dairy Queen or by the other one, I've had not one person say that that one should be open. It's always Janata Drive. A few comments from people have been to add speed bumps there instead, to open it up at least from 7 till 8 in the morning, and then again from 3 till 4 or 2:30 to 3:30, whatever, after school. And then during the summer, yes, everybody thinks it should be closed for the sporting events, but during the winter, when we have no sporting events over on that end, they believe it should be open for football and other in-school activities. Let's see what other comment. Somebody said to make it a one-way. I guess I'm not a big believer of that, but I'll just tell you that. That's about all I have. Anything, Ken?
I just, I want to keep the kids' safety in mind here, and knowing that our kid could walk to school, it wouldn't kill him until there's 6 feet of snow probably, because I don't know if you guys are planning on keeping a path open now for the kids walking.
we'll have to do something with, if the gates stay closed, we'll have to at least clear a path. We won't clean by the Reserve Center. There's no need for that once we get past the Land Trans building. But we'd have to keep a couple paths for the Claudic Addition kids to come in. I think we kept one clean by the stadium itself, and then we'd have to keep at least a path on that road clear so that.
So they do keep one.
Kids could come in. I thought we kept one clear by the
Because
stadium.
When we put the gate up last year, we did.
No,
We didn't
because I
last
know
year.
when Zach drove to, or when he walked to school, he had to go through snow. And we're gonna have next year, I have my son going, he won't be going to school anymore, my daughter will have to walk to school. So that will be another issue for me, is when my daughter's walking back and forth again before she gets her driver's license, because it's, they just troops through the snowbanks, because I do not want my kids, because it's pure ice. I don't care if it's, people are driving on it or not, that Janata Drive is pure ice. So I don't want my kids on there.
I don't know what it would be like if we just clear a path and
Yeah.
don't let people drive on it. It might be
Right.
completely different. I don't
And maybe
know.
we need to think about, even if we open it, to have that trail opened up for the kids to be able to walk on. So if we do open it, I believe that trail should be, and I know it's not our trail, but maybe the school needs to think about opening that up for the kids to be able to walk on.
It's a catch-22, because if we start cleaning that trail,
Then you're talking about,
that's a long haul
Yep.
along that edge, and people have suggested that to us before. If the city wants to clean that trail,
yeah.
I don't have an issue, but I'm not sure I have the manpower, because the way the wind blows and everything else, we would be on that trail daily. I'd rather see sidewalks put in and have to walk down the sidewalks than us having to keep that trail open. It would just be an immense amount of work, and I'm not saying that that's what we shouldn't do.
And
I
then
just
maybe
know
we
how
need to
much
figure
work it
out
would be.
something through through the baseball field then
Well,
instead.
that, we'll have some discussion about that. That's certainly a separate topic than the
Yeah.
gates probably, but
Okay.
we'll have to have some discussion on how we're going to keep, even if the gates stay closed, there's got to be paths for people to walk. We can't just let that road fill in, because then there's no way for them to get from the clotting addition to us.
Right.
You know, unless we put another path through there.
Yeah, but yeah, our big thing is taking all these kids and now having them, put them on 55 and 23, and even parents, all these parents, and I've had many clients, I have, you know, an older clientele, and they have to really watch when they go to the grocery store and when they, you know, because they do not want to get stuck in that half hour of time
It's not a half an hour.
for an hour, but whatever.
It's 10 minutes.
Oh.
of time. It's 10 minutes and the reason I know that is because I've been timing it, my police chief has timed it. At the end of the school day, within 10 minutes, approximately by 3:25, they get out at 3:15, they're pretty cleared out by 3:25, 3:28 at the latest. And in the morning, when I watched that, you know, I only saw, well, a couple issues at the end of the day. My biggest concern probably is kids walking across that road to McDonald's. Probably even more so than the traffic right now. And I do see issues with the left-hand turn coming off of the new 23. It's hard for them to take a left-hand turn. It's not for a very long period of time, but today I think it was the longest one. I think when both of us watched it was about 4 minutes. The person eventually went down to Teals, turned in. Of course, by the time he came back, 3 cars that were behind him had pulled out and made the left-hand turn. It's just a very short period of time when the majority of those kids are taking a left-hand turn to come into our piece that happens. It certainly, if it was me, I would watch when I come. I would not, during that 10 minutes, want to do it. I would take one of the back routes. If I had to come in off 23, I'd probably go down to the other ramp and take that in. Or I'd take one of the frontage road areas to the 4-way stop, because you can get there without having to turn on to Old 23.
And so have you seen
to get
any
there.
issues with that you're having cars coming from 4 different directions? And is everything running smoothly so
No,
far?
it's, other than, in the morning, what I see is the left-hand turn. People can't make the left-hand turn coming off of New 23. That I have seen. Other than that, the morning works really well. The kids are able to turn in. There is no issues.
But the evening when everybody's leaving, or after a sporting event when everybody's
After
leaving?
the sporting event during football, that's when our biggest crowds are, and we've had police officers there. I think they missed one game, and Police Chief Wagner and I have talked, and we've made a commitment to have somebody there to wave 3 people through. We have to educate them a little bit, because they want to stop at that stop sign even with a police officer going like this. You know, everybody wants to still stop there, so we have to educate them that know when the police officer is waving through. And I'm at all those games, so I do. Does it take them a little longer to get out? I wouldn't debate that, but I would also say go to Eden Valley and go watch one of their football games and try to get out of their parking lot.
Oh, yeah, we just did that.
Then you know that by far we're not the worst.
And I know, yeah.
It's a little bit of patience. Part of my problem, and I'll just talk to everybody, is the safety of those students. We have kids walking to Land-Trans on a regular basis. When softball starts, we've got the softball teams there. And we used to close off the road for games, but that doesn't help when everybody's there. And I can only tell you that I've stood there before we made the final decision and watched cars go from the clotting addition.
Wow.
There is no speed limit that they
You know, so
follow.
you have to look at, if your biggest thing was speed, you start with like, put some
Well,
speed
I will
bumps
tell
in
you how
there
much
and-
my plow people love speed
Yeah.
bumps. And on top of that, I can tell you that no matter where I put that speed bump, if I go outside of Janata's Road, they'll drive around it. And if I put it one in Janata's Road, the moment they get past that speed bump, they'll make up the time they lost. It's just the way it is. They drive around a gate that is clearly closed road. They go by past the Reserve Center, even though that's one of the most dangerous things. I don't disagree with anybody here. I would not even contemplate opening that road. I've been almost hit there 3 times myself. because of the way it ends up. But they drive right onto the lot and over the curb. They might be doing it just might spite me, I don't know. But it is about safety, and I do understand, and we're certainly going to take into consideration everything that's said here.
I just wanted to speak for many
Yep.
people that wanted to,
No.
you know,
And-
yes, where I live, down in Cladic Addition, it's quiet now. So
There are some people
there-
from
there-
Claudia
there's
Edition
pros
who
and cons.
have thanked us for closing those
Yes,
roads.
so there's pros and cons to both.
I just,
Yeah.
getting back to what I was saying about the safety of the kids as well, is now it's probably more unsafe for my son. And everybody knows that once a kid turns 16, they're probably gonna wanna drive to school. If they got the means, they're gonna be taking a car to school. And for my son, we're
Until somebody's hit my parking lot. That's part of the problem, is that it's not safe for our kids the way it is with people zipping across that thing, because they don't go, there's times when I wish I would have kept all the barricades and made a little side road that they could go all the way around, but that would be extremely hard to keep up and all of that. But I just know how fast they go through our area. Whether we have kids there or not, whether I have cars in that parking lot or not, they zip through that parking lot. They don't go 10 miles an hour. Yep.
I think the one thing to keep in mind is it's not the people coming to the school that are the problem. It's those that are using that as a thoroughfare to go out to 23. And the problem we have is it's marked, no through street, and people still use it as through street. Whether they're coming from the Claudic out or coming from 23 back into the Claudic. I mean, it's not the people who are coming to the school for events. It's everyone who just wants to use it as a road. And I can tell you this, and granted, we've only had a little over a month. I've had more accidents at the four-way with the land trans going out and John Giannata Road than I've had leaving out onto Business 23 out of the parking lot. So we're getting more accidents in the parking lot at that intersection than we do at the other one. And just from, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but just from a city standpoint, there are things that we're looking at, from the city side, obviously, the closing of those roads have created traffic flow, some different traffic flows. We're discussing the possibility of looking at, a safe school type grant, something like that, to decrease the speed in front of the school, say during the times, when we have our congestion period. So that half hour, around the beginning of school and after school, getting that speed drop down to maybe 30 with some flashing lights, something like that. We talked about that a little bit today. Ron Mergen and I did, to help eliminate some of that congestion. Slower speeds, it's going to be easier for people to get out. It's going to be safer. Getting I've got the signs that you can put right in the middle of the road. Crosswalk indicating stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk. Thus to address any potential pedestrian issues for those going from the school over to McDonald's or Subway or whatever else. So, there are things that, from the city standpoint, it's in discussions in the Public Works Committee, it's in discussions in the Public Safety Committee, as far as things that we can maybe do with that intersection to make things easier. But, I have to echo the concerns with the number of kids that constantly are walking through the parking lot or in the parking lot, the way people drive through there. As convenient, and look, I use John Giannata Road just like everybody else, okay? As convenient as that was, eventually someone's going to get hit. And nobody's life is worth a little bit of inconvenience. The couple minutes it's going to take or a minute it'll take to drive around, it's not worth any one of our kids losing their life.
And there's certainly some liability issues from my perspective in the school. I know that it's a dangerous issue with people zipping across that lot. I don't know how I'd defend myself if somebody got hit and I ended up in court and they were saying, beside the fact somebody got hit, which is the most important thing, but if they asked me, did I think that was a dangerous situation, I'd have to say yeah, because cars do zip across that road.
Paul kind of went over, that you guys are working on things to, the speed in front of that, all that, so I'm glad something,
Yeah.
that's all we want, is something to be done, more than what is done.
We're going to continue to monitor this regardless of, if nobody would have come in, Paul and I have had numerous conversations over this, because we need to continue to monitor it. We haven't seen what it's going to be like between the seasons, although I tend to believe that we have a lot of kids that work out anyway, even if it's not in the season, or they start the early practices, so I don't think we're going to have any more kids necessarily leaving at the same time. Winter's coming, we have to monitor it during that, so we're going to continue to monitor. My concern is safety, not necessarily convenience. I would tell everybody that. I do understand inconvenience,
No, my
because
number one
I
thing
can't
is
take my
safety.
shortcuts there, nor neither. But it is going to be about safety to us, and from my perspective, it's not going to be necessarily about convenience. I would be the first to tell people that. I do know it can take.
Yep, we're just looking out for the safety of
Yeah.
these kids, and we just don't want anybody to be in more harm's way, so that's our number one thing right now.
Neither do we.
So, okay. Thank you.
No, thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Anybody else?
Anybody else want to speak from the community?
Well, if you're talking about safety,
Would
Could
you
you
mind
come-
coming down? I know his voice carries very well. I'm not sure anybody else will hear you, so if you would, and if you have time, if you could fill out the sheet just so that we know who we were talking to, and I have a record of that, so if I ever need to get a hold of anybody, I can do that.
Sure. If we're going to talk about safety, maybe we could also talk about spring softball. If you're talking about safety in the Claudic edition, I know that people are encouraged to park in the middle school and high school parking lot for softball and baseball games, but if you live in the Claudic edition, you know that isn't happening. And softball particularly, it's very dangerous. If you drive down Burr Street, kids are running out, little kids, not softball players, but from brothers and sisters. It's a very dangerous situation, so maybe you could throw that into the mix.
Yeah, I'll give you from the school's perspective, because that's what I deal with.
Yeah.
We put signs up everywhere that we could think of to push people to our parking lots, because that's where we want them. I can only tell you, and I don't want, I hate to push a problem some other place, but Paul's already smiling, but I have no controls over those roads. Even if I wanted to do something, I cannot tell somebody not to park there. I don't have the authority to do that. The city would need to put up no parking signs someplace. And I don't know, Paul, if you have anything else to say, but all I know is that I don't have the authority to tell somebody not to park in those streets. If I did, I probably would have done so, because you're not the first one to bring that concern to us.
Well, I've lived here since 1980 and lived in the same house since 1980 in the Claudic edition. And I have seen many more near accidents on Burr Street with softball than I've ever had going through the parking lot.
We would prefer that everybody parks. I can tell you that from our point of view, we would prefer that everybody parks in our lot for all of our activities.
Okay,
It would
thank
make
you.
things better. Anybody else? We certainly want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak. And I promise you this, we will reevaluate everything that's been said. We do want this to work for everybody. That's why Paul and I have been working and talking about other options that might mitigate some of the other stress too. So we'll certainly talk about it. What I can't do is promise, because it is about safety, and it's one of the yin and yang things. If I do something on one side, I create a problem over there. If I do something over there, I create a problem at the other side. So we'll reevaluate that, but we'll be doing that the whole year. That I can guarantee.
Well, and I think it's important that, and we've got something that's new. I understand it's different, and change is always difficult for any of us to deal with. But until we get a true, accurate idea of the impact of this, we may hit winter and find out that this is, worked decent during fall and it works good during spring, but we may find out during the winter it's horrible. but unfortunately, we have a 1-month period right now. So I think, we're going to continue to monitor it, from the city side and the police department, because, at the end of the day, we're concerned more about the safety than, where people are driving. And I think once we get towards the end of the year, we're going to have a better idea as to whether or not things need to be adjusted. One thing I can say is, I have seen this over the last month and a half with our students and with the public as a whole. It was new right away in the beginning of the year. Getting out of the parking lot was a little more clunky those first few days. And then you watch the kids as they learn. It's like, okay, we've got a couple lines. Take our turns. So we've got this line going, then the next line, that sort of thing. We saw issues with maybe some traffic backup over on Main Street initially. People have learned, if I come on Main Street, there may be additional traffic here and may take longer. So now what we see is people going up to 55 and 23 where there's a four-way stop. So I think what we're going to see as the year goes is those areas that maybe we have some of that congestion, some of those concerns, we're going to see people learning that, okay, during this time, that time, whatever, I need to adjust what I'm going to do. Rather than sitting for 4 minutes at Veterans and Business 23 trying to make a left turn, I'm going to drive up to 55 in a half a minute, drive down to the four-way, and be on my way and save myself 2.5 minutes. So, I think as we hit the end of the year, we'll have a good idea as to where our issues truly lie. And then, we'll continue to work within the city. I mean, changing speeds are not, I don't like it takes an act of Congress, but we'll do what we can to try and, get those types of things done. But the city is looking at what we can do to make sure that that intersection or the intersections leaving the school currently are going to be safe for people coming in, the community coming in, and students going out. So.
And Paul and I have stayed in contact with each other about this. There's nothing that we've talked about more this year than how things are going, and are we perceiving that there's an issue there that we can't work through. So Paul and I are certainly going to stay in contact.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to approve the minutes from the September 26, 2017 regular school board meeting. It was in your packet.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I got a motion from Heidi and second from Rick. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. Consent agenda. Review and consider approval of change in the middle school play assignment from Jen Wertz to Jen Wertz and Sue Heck, half-time. Review and consider approval of hiring Janice Albrecht, food service worker, for 3.75 hours per day, effective October 11th, 2017. And then we have review and consider approval of hiring Janet Brinkman, food service, for 3 hours per day, effective October 16th of 2017. Review and consider approval of Janica Schultz to teach the MS Targeted Service Program for approximately 3 hours per week, for a total of 102 hours from October 17th, 2017 through May 29th of 2018. And then review and consider approval of a lane change requested by Brooke Leifel, there you go, from MA to an MA10. So those are our consent agendas. We do all at one.
Just a couple quick things. The food service pieces are just to replace people who are retired, so they're not any new hires. And their targeted services is one of those that we get money back for those programs, so it tends to be cost neutral for that. And the other lane change is by contract.
I move that we approve consent agenda.
Second.
So I got a motion from Rick and a second from Lou. Any other further discussions? Hearing none. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. We move on to business. We have two underneath business for tonight. Anybody in the public that have any questions regarding business, we do entertain any comments or concerns. So the first one is review and consider approval of the concurrent enrollment program agreement between Fond du Lac College and Paynesville area schools for the 2017-18 school year.
The addendum talks about it. Right now, you're going to continue to see this cost go up for any college that we're working with that our students can get college credit from. At the same time, we continue to get the dollars from the state of Minnesota. But you're going to see these go up. I think they're aiming for 3,000.
3,000.
So it looks like every year they're going to raise it 500, but it's not just for us, it's happening across the state.
I know in the past that some of the Fond du Lac courses do not transfer to some of the schools. So have we looked into that, or what is the
Yeah,
view on it?
they, from what we have seen and from other, from colleges both, as well as some websites that look at the transferability of the credits, we have not had, we did have to change our honors English, because before we offered, because the state requires a composition course. This was about 3 years ago when we had an issue with the transfer. And it's because we offered, with the state of Minnesota says you have to have a literature course and you have to have a composition course during your junior and senior year. So that's what we did. We offered 2 college courses. Well, when they went to transfer them, the college comp course was 4 credits, ours was 3. Just so, and when freshmen would go and take the first, like comp 1, the second semester would be comp 2, and we didn't offer that. We didn't have, but we still had to do your lit course over here at the state. So we actually added, took away one of our normal lit classes, and we reduced, well, we took the college comp 1 course and spread it over a whole year. We did college comp 1 in 1 semester and did the college comp 2 in the second semester, so we covered all what the colleges want for that first year of English. So that was all accepted, and that's what pretty much several different schools did. And it would have been the same thing if you were at Fond du Lac or U of M or St. Paul State. And then what we did is we offer the literature course for a semester, then like say their senior year. And so what happens is, and at that same time, if the state law passed that if a college course is 4 credits, you have to give them 4 high school credits for it as well, when before it was not that way. So then what happens is the kids, by doing that, actually free up 1 semester of electives. So now, because they would get 9 credits from those 3 English courses instead of 8 credits from 4. So we have, that was about 3 years ago, we had a couple students go through that issue, and with working with the colleges in our area, myself and some other principals, that was the solution we needed to do. And it's just where our state department has some additional standards than what the college standards are.
So now they all transfer?
Yes,
Everything from Fond du Lac transfers?
The Project Lead the Way classes, the science classes, will take the place of an elective science, but will not take the place of the freshman biology if they're going into a science-orientated program, like if they're pre-med or biology major, but it will be one of their electives. So, but our stats class, our calc, our pre-calc, our college algebra, our macro econ, all fit into those exact spots. So,
Okay.
but yes, we did look into that, and that was where we were at.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So I got,
I'll second.
I got a motion from Heidi and a second from Cheryl. Any other further discussions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So with the college credits, we have to pay like $100 for each one?
For the Project Lead the Way courses, because they are set up
Not
like
all.
AP. No, your ones that go, there's 2 types. There's
No, like honors English. will be
Honors
paid.
English,
Oh,
you
so it's
don't.
just certain ones.
Yeah, the Project Lead the Way ones, because they are set up differently through the State Department.
I don't complain, I have to, because it's cheaper
Yeah.
than going to college, but I've had people ask me why.
Yes,
Why we pay for them and not others.
Right, the concurrent courses, because they are the way they are set up, and they are mentored by the college. Our teachers here are mentored by the college itself, and that curriculum is taught. So those go through the financial department at the state differently, so those courses you do not have to pay for. The Project Lead the Way are set up.
But they'll still get college credit.
They'll still get, yeah, the college credit. It's just we do have to, because they structure their own program and they train teachers for those programs, very similar to like AP does the same thing, but they require the college to run the credit through, so you are actually paying more for that registration process of the college being used.
Okay.
Now, is that typical for every school that's part of that
Yeah,
Project
and
Lead the Way?
all the
Also?
Project Lead the Way and AP courses are run that way.
So if we pay $2,000 a course, how many people are taking those classes?
The math classes, like our calculus class, we have 25 in there. In our pre-calc, we probably have 60, because we have 2 sections of that. Honors this year, we'll have 90. But I'd have to, but then we have like advanced psych, where we usually have 18. It kind of varies.
One of the reasons that we offer courses every other year is to try to get those numbers up, otherwise we might have half the kids in those classes.
Project Lead the Way one, all our 10th graders take that for biology, so that's 75.
There are always going to be courses that, when you offer
Have
college
more or
credit, that
less.
are going to have more or less. And if we're going to offer them, sometimes we have to bite the bullet and
Our
pay
end-
the amount of money. But they can be expensive courses for us, but we need to offer those classes.
But I think they balance out by the time we get the money back from the state, because we do get additional funding for each student that takes a college course that goes into our general budget.
So how much do we pay this fund to let college per credit?
Right now, it's
It's
$2,000.
It's $2,000 right now per class, I think,
Per
semester.
class.
So it's per class, not per student.
Correct.
Correct.
And that's just for them to write the credit.
That's
Well,
what
Basically,
they,
they're
They
writing a
also-
credit for $2,000.
They also mentor our teachers, but the fund elections down in actually.
our option to that would be kids possibly going to PSEO, which we lose
Yeah, I get that.
everything. In the end, it's much more financially viable for us to do it the way we're doing it. Other questions, or?
Okay. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and carried. The number 2 business is Police Chief Wagner will update the school on the police liaison officer at the school. So, Paul, you want to come down?
I know you speak well, but if you could come down to the mic on this one, Paul.
It's far more exercise than I need. All right, I know when we first started our program with you guys, I talked about coming to, board meetings and kind of giving you guys an update on where we're at. I don't think we've done that yet, so just wanted to touch base with you, kind of let you know what we've been doing and kind of where we're heading. Last year, ever since the inception of our kind of liaison program, we've kind of had an up and down time as far as staffing levels within the PD. I think shortly after we started the program, we lost an officer, so we were running short-staffed, and then once we got back to full staff, we lost another one, so short-staffed again. So we're doing kind of what we can, and in the last couple of years, a lot of our focus has just simply been getting out and getting into largely the lunchrooms, being around at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, parking lots, that sort of thing. Just kind of starting to build that rapport. I know it's something that you guys probably don't necessarily see or hear about, but in that time we have been able to make some inroads with, some of the more troubled kids that we maybe have within our district, and even some of those that aren't necessarily
in kind of that, what's the best word, kind of in our, I don't want to say danger area, but those that are, you know, the most troubled. You know, we've been able to make some good ties there with some of those kids. So a lot of things have been able to come, you know, to the police department, both in school and out of school. This year, this summer, what we've done is I sat down with Bob and I sat down with Lori before school started, and we kind of drew an outline just to kind of help guide my officers that are in the school as to what's expected. So generally right now we've got the day scheduled out. So when we've got our double coverage during the day, we'll have an officer in the school all day. And during that time, they've got different activities they're checking in. We'll be checking in with Lori in the mornings to determine whether or not we've got issues within classrooms. Then an officer maybe needs to go and sit and just kind of observe and make sure that, you know, if we've got some kids misbehaving, that they're kind of not interfering and disrupting the teaching. The goal is to get around to every advisory period multiple times this year. We did really good through homecoming, getting to, I believe, almost every junior and senior advisory period. And just speaking with the kids, it's been a little hit or miss just because of some scheduling issues and activity within the PD, but the goal is to get around to all the advisory periods. That way the kids would get to know us, not just at lunch, but every single student within this building will have a chance to meet with us. And then officers are spending time in the hallways between classes, and then again at lunch, and then our usual, you know, afternoon, you know, period, getting out in the parking lot, that sort of thing. But also I think we utilize our afternoons more for any students that need to talk to us, unless we have a major issue pop up. So just kind of give you an idea, I believe, I don't have the exact figure. I think Lori might have been given it, but I think last year we probably put in close to 450 hours of time in the school, and that didn't include the time that we spend before school in the parking lots, whether it be at the elementary school or monitoring our traffic on the students in the parking lots. So, and the plan is to start rolling over into the elementary school now. This year, I believe, we're trying to target Fridays as our day for the officer that's on to go over and be around the elementary school lunch period. I'm not seeing a lot of need to necessarily be in their hallways. They line up in lines and walk, so not a lot of issues there. But you know, hopefully as time goes by and as things kind of stabilize for us, my goal is to, you know, see what potential programs we can bring over to the elementary school. You know, whether it be the Paynesville PD taking over doing our DARE stuff. I know there had been some talk that may be something we need to do anyways. But, you know, that's going to be down the road once I get some stability and, you know, somebody that I know is going to stay. And if we decide to do that we can train and, you know, not lose them, you know, 3 months after I train them. So I guess that's kind of where we're at for now, and kind of what we've been doing. I would, you know, if you guys have any questions, certainly feel free to let me know. And
I don't mean to be too blunt here, but one of the issues that I recall was adult huddles in the lunchroom. So sometimes we had 3 adults in a corner visiting, and our intent was for, one being possibly the police, our intent was to have them with the kids, not with adults.
Correct.
Okay, so kind of resolve that?
That has been made very clear that they're to be interacting with the students, not talking to the monitors or, you know, the advisors. And that's not to say that that's not going to happen occasionally.
Well, they may have to reference some of the stuff here and there. It's just a majority of time, when we originally started, I think my intent for sure was to be them interacting in some form or another with kids.
I agree. And the schedule that they have been given has made that very clear, that the lunchroom time is to be interacting with the students not talking to the teachers.
I think, I just have to say as a parent and just in the community, I think with the way society has been lately, it is very nice to see the kids in the rapport that, they have with you. I think it makes a difference. I think to, just personable and to just talk and just build that respect. I think that just flows through to more kids and hopefully out into our society.
And I'm hoping, and I agree with you 100%, and I'm hoping that, we can continue to build that. I hear and I've heard, the 19 years I've been doing this, so many times parents will be like, you better behave or I'm going to call the cops and you're going to go to jail. And, they use this as a scare tactic. And I look at our schools and our ability to be in the school as the perfect opportunity for them to see us, although we may be wearing a uniform, to see us as people, not as necessarily officers. They get to know us on a more personal level versus that 10-minute contact on the side of the street or, something like that. So, and I would like to think that, we've made some inroads, so we're certainly not where I want to be. But I also knew this wasn't going to be a quick process. So, we'll continue to build off it as long as you guys will have us here, and hopefully can build something even better and stronger.
As a parent, every day we get up to go to work. At what time, and parent to be reassured that there is officers that are, in prone with the school and the students. I think we can all be reassured, at least somewhat, that they are in a safe environment. And I think that's all we're trying to do is make sure as a school system, we do have those lockdowns, we do have those main entrances only monitored and stuff like that. And that liaison officer is a huge piece of that whole puzzle. And more that we can get those officers in and trusting the kids. You never know what they're going to say, or if they hear something or whatever. If you don't have that rapport, you're not going to probably get that. Correct. Thank you. All right. Long walk back up. Yes.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Max is supervising that thing, and we'll move him to the next agenda meeting, or next board meeting.
Okay, so elementary school principal, Laura Ryan, report.
Over.
Well, good evening. Just a few things. Today we had our mass vision and hearing screening, and just wanted to thank Josh, our school nurse, and all of the volunteers who came in. We had, I think, probably 15 community volunteers that come in, and we get it done before, I think we'll be done by 12:30 today, something like that. So Josh was really organized and did a nice job on that. I just want to talk a little bit about our in-service on October 18th. This year is our focus is math, and we'll be updating our curriculum over the summer to implement next fall. And so we're really focusing with our PLCs on aligning our standards. And so during this in-service, we're going to be each grade level is working on an standards alignment worksheet that will tell us when we're teaching, what strand of the standard, how much time we're spending on it, and then we're going to do that in the morning, and then in the first part of the morning. Second part of the morning is we're going to get together with a pre-K through second grade, and then third grade through fifth grade, which we really haven't done before. And they have some things on their agenda to look at any gaps or any trends that we have, and we have benchmarks for the last 4 years. And so it's really going to be an interesting morning because there'll be discussions that we haven't had, and it'll be a time for us to really reflect on where we are. And we realize that what happens in preschool and kindergarten, first grade and second grade has an impact on how we do in third, fourth, and fifth, just like the elementary has an impact on how we do as we get older. And so we're really looking forward to having that opportunity. The special ed teachers, we have somebody coming in from West Central Ed who is going to talk to the special ed teachers about strategies for implementing the standards for students who are on IEPs, which can be difficult because if they're on an IEP, typically they're a couple years behind, but when they take the MCA in the spring, they're taking it on the grade level standards, and so we're going to be learning some strategies to do that. So, and then we'll use this as our math curriculum committee as we work through the rest of the year and come up with something for implementation in the fall. Any questions for me? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Second area principal report, Lori Flora.
Okay, we had a busy end of the month. We went through homecoming, had a lot of great activities. Our student councils put on the all-district pep fest again, and that went over well, and we had some great nights of competition throughout the whole week, so we were excited for that. Moving on, I'm real proud of Jackie Campbell. She has put together a really good night for our senior parents and our senior students. One of our visions is to help students become more prepared for college, and we have basically a financial aid night plan that's going to be tomorrow night, where our senior parents and students can come in, and we have Valerie Knob from St. Cloud State here to help people fill out the whole FAFSA form, and kind of to work one-on-one with that. And then we also have from Concordia Admissions, Moorhead, a gentleman that is going to speak, and his name is Carl Stumo, and he is going to speak on college admissions in general, as far as what kids should look for, how they should go about it, as well as different financial aid that is available no matter what track they take. So I'm hoping many of our seniors and their parents will take part in that. So, and we also are going to be taping it as well. At least the admissions part we will be taping for future reference. So that'll be wonderful. As we move into in-service, our secondary staff is going to be having somebody from West Central Ed come and actually talk with our general ed teachers on what interventions they can use for our special ed population as well as all kids, as far as bringing or looking at pathways that they can work with students and help them retain that curriculum. Also, the second half of the day, for all our teachers, we're going to be having Angela Dixon come from Fairview Hospital down in the cities, and she is going to discuss mental health first aid. Not the whole course, it's actually a course, but she's going to do an hour-and-a-half session on how can teachers help students as well as families that are going through some struggling times. So that's going to be part of the afternoon. The one-on-one initiative, I've had a chance to be in several classrooms over the last couple weeks as a sub. And then also I've taken the opportunity to ask students, how has it been with the one-to-one? And 98% of comments has been, it's been great. Some of the things, I met with my middle school advisory today, as far as organization, getting things turned in on time were some of the key points that they've really liked it. Also the consistency across all staff, because all staff are now on Google Classroom, so they go in and everything is in the same place. You know, they can do math, they can do social studies, you know, everything is right there. So I think I have been very impressed with all our teachers, because they really have moved forward much quicker than I would have thought as a whole group. All our staff are on Google Classroom. They're all using it, you know, some at different levels, but they are picking things up and utilizing what we have given them as a tool to help in the classroom. So it's been a good thing so far. Any questions that you might have for myself?
I guess the only thing is, when you were alluding to the Google Classroom or whatever, it'd be nice to have your different disciplines, whether it's math or science, just come in and give us a little synopsis of that, just so that we can see once what that is actually doing, since, and I'm sure the public would be really fascinated too to see once what our dollars that we're spending on technology would be. I think it would be great.
Right, and I'll plan to do that next month. And actually the timing will be good, because up until now, we haven't been able to have parents on Google Classroom to see and visit, but we have, thanks to Jonah, we have found a way to download all parents' emails and be able to send out invites. So hopefully by MEA break, we will have all of that completed. So then by conferences, my hope is to have teachers show parents the Google Classroom itself. So the timing would be great to have a presentation. So I'll pick out a couple of teachers that would be willing to come.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Is the financial aid and college admissions presentation open to more than just present students?
You're welcome to come. And the public we are having it in a classroom, so my only concern would be space. We do have Jackie, is it, what time? 5 and 6:30. So if, as board members, you would like to come, would be great to see what's going on. The one concern would be space. So.
But you said you're going to be taping it.
We are going to be taping it, so I could certainly.
You put it on the web so that if there are family members that can't make it, for if they're out of town or whatever, it'd be nice.
Well, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah.
Wouldn't be a space difficulty either.
Right. Thank you. So the one thing that we can't tape, because it's more one-on-one, is the FAFSA.
Right.
But we were going to tape the other, so we will do that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Community Ed Director, Matt Dickow.
Good evening, everyone. Just a report on some of our main programs. We have over 77 in the PAUSE program for this school year already. We ended with 102 from the summer. Preschool Plus is getting a good routine. We have 45 kids in the all-day preschool with the Preschool Plus, and that's out of 56 4-year-olds in preschool and 19 3-year-olds. Fitness Center, already for this year, we're at over almost 6,000 visits. Revenue staying strong and going well there. And we're in Maine winter program planning, and one of our focuses is STEM. STEM education, so we're trying to offer more programs, maybe even some STEM opportunities for girls only, to encourage them to sign up, and working through there. So if you have any ideas for us programs to look into, please just let me know. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. Thanks. Stearns County Collaborative, Cheryl Balke.
Okay, on September 27th, the Joint Powers Board met, That's the Stearns County Family Services Collaborative. They meet twice a year, and this was mostly just the organizational meeting. Find my notes here. We're together with Ricori Schools in that grouping. There were 72 unduplicated actual number of children with emotional disturbances or severe emotional disturbances that received mental health services from the collaborative during that 6-month period, and 25 unduplicated actual number of children provided other services during that 6-month period. So it's a very useful group to belong to. The reason it stays together is we don't have a lot of monies coming in, but what does come in, and if there is any more that does come in, we'll be there. We don't have to reconvene. Mostly right now, it's just moving forward with the 2017-2018 years. They did elect their chair, vice chair, and secretary treasurer. Mostly just business. Not much else going on there.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. Robert Hewitt, Administrative Report.
Just a few things. Next facility meeting will be on October 23rd at 6 o'clock in the elementary school media center. There was a group of us that did go to St. Ben's and Foley and take a look at their facilities as we start to talk about a possible project. Again, all of that is just possible. There's been nothing decided. Eventually, it will come back to the board and certainly to the community to get additional input, but we did take a look at some facilities. I know that Lori's taken a group to Albany just to take a look at theirs because of the CTE courses. They've just built some new facilities. So the 23rd, we're still discussing it. That committee will eventually decide whether to make a recommendation to the board, and again, that will be all open to the public, and there will be no shocks or secrets. Superintendent search, I need 3 board members to be on a search committee. I think, at least my suggestion to the board will be that if you're interested, get a hold of Mark. He's the chairperson, and everything's going to run through him. If you're interested, one of the things that Greg had suggested is that you have somebody who's been on the board quite a while on the committee, one that's been fairly new, and then kind of in the middle there. Those might be the people. Remember that this committee isn't going to make any decisions. All this committee is going to do is kind of guide the way things are going. So everybody will be kept in the loop. So if you're not on the committee, don't worry about it. In the final end, you'll be part of that decision in the whole process. We just need a smaller committee to kind of guide the search piece as it goes through and help Greg make some decisions on where they're going to go with that. So if you're interested, send an email to me and I can forward it to Mark. And then my opinion would be Mark will just make a selection of 3 people if there's more than 3 that want to do this, and that'll be kind of the search committee that will work with Greg to kind of put the things in place. Like I said, don't worry that if you're not on the committee, no secrets, no surprises for this. Everything will be out in the front and everybody will know what's going on. Solar Garden, just be aware that they moved the ribbon cutting back a few days just because of something that happened, and right now it's going to be on October 12th at 2:30. If you're interested, I'll send out some information to the board, but if you're interested in attending, I can't. It's this Thursday, and I'm going to go with Lori to see Albany. So, but one of the things that we talked about, at least initially, we believe at least the district will start saving, once we go online, at least $1,300 to $1,500 a month, just on our electricity needs. That will get bigger as companies start to charge more for electricity. I'm really excited about this. I think that in the end it will be a great financial benefit to the district by this. And I did talk with Jamie, who has kind of been the person who has helped us with that. We're going to talk about maybe having an open house for just Paynesville. If Paynesville people are wanting to go there to see what it is and have some discussion. So we'll have more discussion about that. That might be something that some of the community is interested in taking a look at. Let's see, MSBA Leadership Conference, I certainly have sent you information on that. I'll continue to send you more. It's on 11/12. You're all registered right now with hotel rooms. If something comes up you can't make it, let me know by December 8th. Otherwise, we would lose a day. We'd have to pay for 1 day for you. So as I get more information, I'll get that out to you. I need to finish up the few negotiation pieces, so be aware that if you're on one of the committees, you'll probably get some information from me, or I may need to have another meeting. I just need to get those finished. And we have some policies we need to work on, so if you're on the policy committee, look for some text from me saying, when can we meet? Next meeting, we're gonna provide some information on the test scores. So you'll get that from last year's test scores, so we'll update the board on all of that. That's about it. Any questions for me? Okay.
All right, any other board sharing? Yes, Rick.
First of all, I just want to thank the fact that we have some citizens here with us tonight. I think in my almost 10 months on the board, I don't know that we've had any in the past. Well, I've been here. And it's certainly the first time we've had comment from the public. So I just want to thank you for coming, and it wasn't just your comments, but what you added further on with some questions and things. I wish we'd have more of that in the future. So I want to thank them for that.
Yep, yep. It's always nice when there's somebody else who can give their input instead of it's just us 7 up here, or 8.
And there is a volleyball game tonight, so if anybody's
Yep.
interested, there is that going on.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
I got a motion from Lou and a second from Heidi. Any other further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.